Hey guys, Wages World here. Wasn't gonna do a video, but I've been watching everything like I said I usually do anyway. But there's some earthquakes popping off right around the Cascadia Subduction zone. I seen this one. It was a 6.0 at first, and then I seen a 5.8. And typically, what we see, guys, is we see the main quake, and then it trickles down. Well, then after the 5.8, there was another one in the same area, another 6.0. So something's going on here. It's very active in that area right now. And anytime we talk about anywhere close to the Cascadia Subduction zone, especially on those fault lines out there, we have to be concerned about what's going to happen. The fact that it went from a 6.0 to a 5.8 back to a 6.0, we need to keep watching this, because the trend should be going down. Okay? Not back up. Now, we've seen it happen before once or twice. It would go down, come back up, but then it would just go away. But this doesn't feel right to me, for some reason. I don't know, man. The whole Ring of Fire itself, the past day or so, has been pretty active. Not to mention, like I said, around the Ring of Fire, if you go down to the South America fault lines down there around the Ring of Fire, they've been having some stuff too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys over there and show this to you. But let me show you. Well, that's from yesterday. This right here, I was making another video. I wasn't actually going to come on here and speak. I was just going to show you, hey, there was a 6.0, 5.8, be aware. But then as I was making this is when that second 6.0 popped off. So I just wanted to get on here and give you guys a heads up. I'll take you guys over there and show you guys those quakes. Okay, guys, I got you over at USGS. Obviously, guys, these are the last 3 quakes that you can see here in that area. Not to mention, if you look there, there's one there, and I know it's a smaller one, but it is in that area up in Alaska. If we scroll down through here, you're going to see, there's California. These are pretty normal, but see how this happened? It started right around there, okay? The 5.2. Okay, it's around Port Hardy, Canada. Now, this is off the coast of Canada. Okay, this is out in the ocean. Now, something to note here is this one right here, the Guatemala one. Okay, so we're going to click on that real quick, and we are going to go to the map. And the reason why it's to note, now I know it's a great distance away, but it is on that same line around the Ring of Fire. So, is something, being moved? What's got me a little concerned is the fact that, let me get my draw tool out here, is that Port Hardy's up here. Okay, you got Guatemala here. What's in between? Well, we got this. Okay, like I said, the Cascadia Subduction zone's up in here, right off the coast of Oregon, Northern California, and Washington. But we also have to keep in mind that we need to pay attention to California too, the San Andreas Fault and all those things out there. Now, again, there's lots of theories on this Cascadia Subduction zone. What would happen if something was to pop off? I do think that if that was to pop off, I would say the San Andreas would rock too. Would it matter? I don't know, because the whole West Coast is going to be reformed if the big slip does happen out in Cascadia. Now, that's another thing. If we have one on the San Andreas Fault, is that going to actually transfer that energy enough up there to cause the Cascadias to slip off? Those are all things that people talk about, and, I've been trying to learn more and more and more about the earthquake thing, and I've gained a little knowledge, but I'm still not, there to the level that I'd like to be. Obviously, it takes years to get there, guys, of lots of, deep research and just trying to understand exactly what's happening. And I'm just here giving you, hey, this happened. I'm going to, bring it to your guys' attention. And I just try to bring a basic logic to it. And again, I don't know all the technicalities behind it, but to me, it makes sense, guys. So I guess what I'm going to do here, let me close this map out. Let's go back to there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you guys through here on these ones in Port Hardy. I'll just go to the first 6.0. Now, you see that. I show you guys this all the time. And the first thing I click all the time. If I see that tsunami box there, it's not always there, but usually when it's out in the ocean, they'll pop one up there, even if there's not an issue. They do that to put people's mind at ease. So you click that box, and the first thing it says to you, no tsunami warning. Okay? So don't think that that's what's going on, because it's not. But, and at the same time, when it happens over water and there's no tsunami, what you're gonna find is, you see these other boxes here, see how they're those colors? You know, you don't want to see orange, red, and yellow pretty much. Okay? So what we're going to do, we'll click on this, click on one of those boxes, and it brings you to this. Okay? So we're going to go up here. We're going to back off here a little bit just so we can see where these things are at. And we could put the fault lines on there, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. But again, the Cascadia Subduction zone is right down in here, guys. Okay? Here's the earthquake. So, yeah. It is very close, if not in, right there. If we see that kind of stuff, that makes us pretty nervous, because we know that if that does slip, if it actually goes ahead and slips, I mean, guys, the West Coast is going to be reformed. And it sucks. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. And, you know, this isn't something that is just in our little, what I guess people would call conspiratorium, or whatever you want to call it. This is something that's accepted by mainstream. Okay, they know. They talk about this. They don't talk about it a whole lot, because it does entice some panic and things like that. But they do talk about this. They say, hey, you know, if the Cascadia does, when asked, they aren't just going to come out and say this, because, frankly, guys, they don't want people moving away from the coast. You know, because that is part of commerce and all that kind of a thing. And, you know, as sucky as this sounds, they don't care about nobody's life. That's just what it is. At least most of them don't. And I'm talking about the higher up people here. I ain't talking about the people like me and you and everybody else doing the groundwork. Of course, those guys typically care. But, again, I don't, you know, ever advise anybody just to take off and run from the coast. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I do think people need to understand that that is a risk that they take when they're sitting there. It's the same thing when you buy a trailer in the middle of Oklahoma. Okay? That's a risk. You know that risk is there. But if you choose to take it, then okay, whatever. If you're comfortable with that, that's whatever. We know that tornadoes happen in Tornado Alley. And we know that typically trailers are tornado magnets. And that's just what it is. Heck, I lived in a trailer for, oh my gosh, 4 or 5 years. Well, when I was really little, I lived in it for a couple years. And when we first got married, me and my wife, we lived in one for 3 years, and I sold it and then bought my house. And I live in the edge of Tornado Alley in Indiana. So, you know, that is a risk people take. But my point there is the fact that, you know, if you do live out on the West Coast, you guys, everybody that lives out there already knows that that is a risk that they're taking when they go there, when they choose to settle there. Earthquakes have always been part of that on the West Coast, at least as long as I've been alive and before. Just like I said, we accept the fact that in the Midwest, we're going to have tornadoes. We just got to do things to try to protect ourselves when those things happen. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, okay? I do think that people need to just make some preparations, okay? So, like I said, guys, the first one that happened, and this is why people didn't really just jump right out here on it, and rightfully so. Okay, it was down here. Where was it at? I just seen it a second ago. Well, there was one in Micronesia too, and that's on that over there. These are all decent sized quakes, guys. 5.8. Okay, yeah. So there's some slipping going on. There's lots of pressure getting built. We've had you know, some solar weather coming in too. Hasn't been real bad, but I mean, it's enough to add. So there you go, you know. So there's Papua New Guinea, that happened, 4.9, Guatemala, 5.8, Russia, okay. I mean, these things aren't small. There's the first Port Hardy one, okay. The first time this started happening out in the Cascadia today was right around 1600 UTC, which would be 4:45 UTC PM. Okay, and then it was just a couple hours later Well, it was like 5 hours later. That's when these bigger ones started popping. 5.7, 6.0, 6.0. Okay? Now, I don't know if this is going to end right now. I mean, obviously, I can't say that it is. Now, what I will say is all these right here, these three right here, are within, just a few miles of each other. So, with that being said, do we consider these aftershocks, or what do we consider these? Well, they're not really aftershocks, okay? They are individual quakes, but they are sometimes triggered by the other quake, especially when they're this close. But they are a little bit, the epicenter of these things are a little bit different. So what I'll do is, like I said, I'll click on this one up here. See that one there? That's the one that just happened. We'll click on the tsunami box here. No tsunami warnings, okay, guys? So just keep that in mind. We'll click back over there and see what we get. Let's go here. So here's the map of where this was, okay? Now, again, we could zoom in here. We can change settings. We can look at all this and look at all that. Let me close the map out here. Hold on just a second. Okay, guys, this is what I thought, okay? It is in the Cascadia Subduction Zone, okay? Subduction Zone. Say that 10 times real fast. Yeah, there it is, guys. They're there. That's what's going on. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, it's right there in front of your face. And these are not small ones, okay? Again, this is something we're going to have to keep our eye on, guys. I don't know what else to say about this. But if you look at the Ring of Fire, this is just a past day. Look at that. We're not seeing much, out over here on these fault lines. And again, we typically get a lot of activity anyway on the Ring of Fire, but those big ones that happen like that, these seem to be a little bit larger than normal, and they seem to be coming more frequently for some reason. And again, the fact that there was one here, there was one down here of sizable, well, actually it wasn't even there. It was here. So, you hear Dutch talk about fulcrum points, and that's kind of what that's talking about. If you go in the middle, you would almost expect there would be one there. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. There already is some rumblings going on right there. Okay. But again, I'm not, the expert on earthquakes by no means. So, but I did want to point that out and bring this to you guys real quick. Anybody that's out there on the West Coast, just pay attention. I'm sure that most people that live out there are already ready for anything like that. This is part of life, like I said. So, anyway, guys, if anything else pops off, I might pop back on here and say, hey, this is continuing. We need to pay attention. So, anyway, guys, God bless. Yeshua saves, and yeah, no fear. Just rock on with it, guys. Merry Christmas.